Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. Crypto Burb here on Twitter. To me, technical analysis also shows BTC trades inside a massive reaccumulation pattern. So this is yet another TA guy here on Twitter saying the exact same thing. This is not the top, but just another reaccumulation pattern that we are seeing for Bitcoin. So let me bring up the Bitcoin chart real quickly to take a look at a few things. So Bitcoin right now trading at $41,600. We can see this level here, 41,000, a very important level to consider. Because if we were to put a Fibonacci here on the chart, we can see it hugs the 0.236, so that first Fibonacci level. And even if you just drag this over here, and I mean, we don't usually do this, but if you were to drag it and you were to keep it at the same level, about $69,000, here, let me drag it a little more over there, $69,000, so it stays here at the top. You can see that level has hit numerous times. Over here, forming resistance. You can see support over here, resistance right here, and now we're in and around this zone here, hugging this level here yet again. So the 0.236, that critical level that we are going to have to get above, and really with conviction, we've just kind of been trading sideways since about January, and so it's been a couple of months now. We need to get out of that with conviction. For me, we got to get up past 46,600 with conviction. I think that is what's really going to denote the final leg of this bull run. That would be the 0.382. The other thing I wanted to mention here from BTC Fuel, within a single bull market, Bitcoin is not as far progressed as altcoins. Bitcoin is in its neutral stage. Altcoins are in the next stage, the rising wedge before the top. So just wanted to mention this as well. If you are looking at historical Bitcoin patterns from all the way back from about a decade ago, you can see downward pressure here in 2012, that neutral stage here before that upward pressure, and then the top of the bull run. It also happened here in 2016, 2017, before that upward pressure here. So downward pressure, neutral reaccumulation phase, and then the upward pressure bringing us to the top, that $20,000 Bitcoin. And you can see it here as well, downward pressure. Now we are in that neutral stage, and since, we are looking at this now on a grander scale, I feel like, the novice investors maybe aren't really grasping the idea that this bull run is going to be extended. It's going to take way longer. But when you compare it to former bull runs, you can see this is the exact same accumulation pattern that we saw back in 2016, that was 2016, and also that we saw back at the end of 2012, early 2013. So neutral pattern here, also being denoted by BTC Fuel. Also wanted to bring you guys this from Michael at Val5Links. So this has to do with XRP price and the fact that it could rise another 25% to that next level. So what we are seeing now is an inverse head and shoulders pattern. This technical formation contains three valleys of varying depths. I know you guys probably know what that inverted head and shoulders is. Connecting the peaks of these valleys results in the formation of a neckline, which is useful in determining the breakout. So they've put XRP here on the 4-hour, and I'm going to throw XRP here on the 4-hour just to show you guys what they are talking about. So essentially what is being demonstrated is this formation, the shoulder here, the head, the inverted head, bringing us back up to the shoulder here, and then formulating what is looking like another shoulder. And so this essentially, the neckline bringing the shoulders together, this is essentially the pattern they're looking at on the 4-hour time frame. The 25% target for this setup is obtained by adding the distance between the necklines, and so ultimately that would bring us to a target of $1. Interestingly, Ripple already breached the neckline on March 19th and shows the possibility of continuation. If the retest of the neckline holds, then sidelined investors or buyers can start buying the dips and expect the remittance token to rally 25% and retest that $1 psychological level. So we have seen a bit of a downturn now, but we are seeing a bit of resistance. So this was published several hours ago, considering this is the 4-hour chart, and we are right now seeing this move up. If you bring the chart back up here, we can see we are retesting, coming back down in this zone, but if I zoom in here, you guys can see we are seeing another green candlestick form here. You can't really see it, but if I bring that neckline down, you can see what is looking like a reversal candlestick on the 4-hour, and so it's going to be interesting to see where we go from here. But here's some more, guys, towards that bullish thesis. So the bullish thesis puts forth from a technical perspective is supported by the supply distribution metric. This index tracks XRP wallets that are segregated based on the number of tokens held. And this on-chain indicator also shows that whales holding more than 10 million XRP tokens have been accumulating. So I talked about that over the last month or so. The fact that we have seen the most whales accumulating XRP than we've ever seen, or rather than we have seen in the last 5 years. So It's important to note that the number of wallets belonging to this category increased from 317 to 335. A total of 18 new whales have joined in last month, painting their intentions and bullish expectations for XRP. Therefore, market participants can expect the remittance token to see a sizable jump in the coming days to weeks. So interesting to note that. Just bringing up the sentiment chart here, just demonstrating the price of XRP and the rise of wallets holding over 10 million XRP here. We saw it near the middle of February this year. So interesting to note, guys. Wanted to thank Michael just for bringing that to our attention. And so, I mean, it is no surprise we are seeing lots of Ripple partnerships worldwide. This from FF News FinTech Finance. Airwallex, who is a Ripple partner, has partnered up with ChocoUp to empower cross-border e-commerce. And so to that point here, they just announced their partnership with ChocoUp, Asia's leading revenue-based financing and growth platform, to support the future growth of cross-border commerce by combining Airwallex's proprietary global payments infrastructure with ChocoUp's flexible recurring funding solutions. The partnership enables a comprehensive and integrated finance solution for e-commerce companies across Asia. Powered by Airwallex, ChocoUp is able to offer its one-of-a-kind turnkey solutions covering cross-border payments, collections, and growth funding, and addresses the needs that will enable e-commerce firms of all sizes to grow beyond geographical boundaries without financial constraints. So here's a statement from Kay Wu, Greater China CEO at Airwallex. He said, "We are so pleased to have been chosen as ChocoUp's partner as they continue to support the growth of e-commerce companies across the region. Businesses today require easy-to-use, accessible, safe, and cost-efficient payment options, and our global financial infrastructure can enable that for businesses like ChocoUp. Our Scale API solution offers a centralized way to manage cross-border payment complexities so businesses can easily transact internationally. We look forward to continuing our partnership in the APAC region and beyond, empowering businesses of all sizes to operate anywhere, anytime." So big news there, guys. We know Airwallex has been quite successful with their cross-border remittance payment service. Of course, RippleNet plays a big part in that. And now we are seeing, again, Ripple partners partnering up with other companies that are going to just enable more solutions for their clients around the globe as well. So ChocoUp, just one of the latest in the Ripple family now, through an affiliation with Ripple partner Airwallex. Wanted to thank FF News FinTech Finance for posting that. Also wanted to bring you guys this from the Wrath of Kahneman. So he posted this the other day. This is a paper, Spawn, enabling resilient interledger payments with an intrusion-tolerant overlay, proposing a method to enable secure global payments across multiple ledgers using Interledger. Now, this doesn't talk about Ripple specifically. However, some of the scholars involved who wrote this paper, one of the four is Anakal Malhotra. She is a person who works at the Spring Initiative, now rebranded RippleX. So I thought that was important to note, considering, this has to do with payments in the Interledger protocol. In this paper, we propose secure payments with overlay network Spawn, a service that enables global payments across multiple ledgers by combining the transaction exchange provided by Interledger with an intrusion-tolerant overlay of relay nodes to achieve 1, improved payment latency, 2, fault tolerance and benign failures such as node failures and network partitions, and 3, resilience to BGP hijacking attacks. So a very in-depth paper about this payments infrastructure. I will link it in the description if you guys care to read this. I just thought I'd bring it up because I thought it was interesting that Malhotra was one of the authors, one of the 4 authors in this. Wrath of Kahneman also mentioning that Dr. Malhotra is the head of research at RippleX. You may remember her seminar about NFTs, XLS-20. And so he links the seminar there. He also states here, will be interesting to see if Spawn becomes a thing. So another RippleNet connection, this time a paper co-written by Dr. Malhotra, specifically states that she is working in the RippleX division. Anyway, wanted to thank the Wrath of Kahneman for posting that. And did you guys see this from XRP Crypto Wolf? Why did they say nobody said this would be fun? This is from Bloomberg Opinions on Twitter, an article that they tweeted out about inflation. Inflation stings most if you earn less than $300,000. Now raise your hand, everybody in the comments section, who makes less than $300,000? And are you worried? And then they give some lame-ass suggestions like take the bus, don't buy in bulk, try lentils instead of meat. And then finally, nobody said this would be fun. I thought this was a joke at first, but no, I found it here from Bloomberg Opinions at BO Opinion here on Twitter. So it's real, and I will link this in the description if you guys care to read the article. I mean, it really does sound like they are getting people prepared, and I think that, this $300,000 amount, I think this is, I think personally they're posting it for shock value, just to get clicks on the article. Because, let's face it, most of us do not make over $300,000 a year. But anyway, just to this point here, it sounds as though they're priming us for the Great Reset, getting us ready to accept the fact that we might have to take the bus, we might have to eat lentils instead of meat, and, that we're all in this together, essentially. Nobody said this would be fun. So then I saw this, guys, from David Morgan. Is this true? The dollar collapse is a deliberate plan to force the masses into a digital dollar control grid. Now, this article was posted here from the Miami Standard. 100 plus nations have a global agreement now being deployed called Project Sandman to drop and end dominance of the US dollar and the petrodollar. If this is true, this sounds like a covert operation. And it sounds kind of scary. Listen to this. Project Sandman describes a 100-plus nation agreement. When triggered, will see those nations simultaneously dump the dollar and abandon the petrodollar status that has allowed the U.S. to enjoy 50 years of fiat currency counterfeiting and material abundance at the expense of everyone else. When this decision is triggered, the dollar and all dollar-dominated assets will plunge to near zero, literally overnight. And so what does that mean, guys? If you have your money in fiat, you better diversify. This means all dollar-denominated bank accounts, bonds, pension funds, treasuries, and other investment vehicles will essentially be worth zero for the simple reason that all banks and markets will freeze operations. This is a Jim Rickards ICE 9 scenario. So if you guys follow Jim Rickards, you might be familiar with some of this stuff. And so they go on to say, doom and gloom, credit cards will stop functioning, food stamp systems will go down, ATMs will not function, so on and so forth. Essentially a liquidity crisis. This scenario has been engineered for a deliberate collapse of the dollar fiat currency and an attempted forcing of everyone into digital dollar system run by the banksters. In the midst of the panic, people will be promised a UBI or universal basic income and food credits, but only if they used an approved digital wallet system that will be run by the same criminals who spent the last 50 years looting the value of the dollar. And so what they're talking about here is essentially a CBDC or central bank digital currency alternative. So I'm interested to look into this more. Project Sandman, it does sound like a very probable situation. Considering many countries around the world for the last 50 years, as they're mentioning here, have been forced on the US dollar for oil purchasing, trading, so on and so forth. And on the heels of that, we're also seeing this, guys, from Michael at Val5 Links. A call to make the digital ruble a reserve currency has been issued by the State Duma, the lower house of Russia's parliament. So as if Project Sandman wasn't enough, here's what we have coming out of Russia. In the face of mounting Western penalties, officials in Moscow have been mulling over ways to circumvent restrictions that have already limited Russia's access to its foreign reserves and the global financial market. Sergei Mironov, who leads the opposition, a Just Russia faction of Duma, urged the federal government, the central bank, and the operational headquarters on countering sanctions to introduce the digital ruble. Russia media and Fork Log reported. And so what does that mean? The high-ranking parliamentarian has been quoted as saying that the goal of the initiative is to issue a central bank digital currency for specific purposes like financing of the house and other construction projects, as well as development of production and transportation infrastructure. And so here's a quote: the digital ruble should become a full-fledged investment and reserve currency for Russia. The deputy believes the CBDC will provide the Russian economy with needed funding without boosting inflation. The digital rubles cannot be deposited abroad or used for non-intended purposes. So this just speaking out to that fact that CBDCs will be programmable. And, in this reality that Bloomberg is kind of hinting at, if you cannot make your payments and the government is supporting you with universal basic income, well, the government now has control. They can tell you this is the way you can spend your money. You do have to buy lentils instead of meat. You do have to take the bus if you do not have enough carbon credits to drive somewhere. And I guess the question is, at the end of the day, how many people are going to accept this as reality? Also, depending on what's going to happen here with Project Sandman, what do we do? How do we hedge? Of course, Ripple and XRP, though, are going to be at the center of this new financial system. And here they talk about, it was just down here, a liquidity crisis. Banking and finance will suffer a catastrophic liquidity crisis. So in order to hedge in the meantime, guys, what I would suggest, and this is definitely not financial advice whatsoever, but what I would suggest, what I'm letting you know that I'm doing, keep money in the bank to pay your bills, but don't have a bank account loaded with tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of cash. They're already talking about freezing or being able to control cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, for payments. They really want to tamp that kind of thing down. What a lot of the economists are suggesting is to invest in hard assets, precious metals like silver, gold, and I'm not talking about gold or silver stocks. I'm talking about actual hard gold and silver. Okay, one school of thought, take your savings, put it in hard metals, because, if we do eventually see the dollar go to zero, at least you have hedged, and chances are you'll actually make even more money if you hold precious metals like gold and silver. That's one way. Of course, many of you guys already hold XRP, and since that is going to be central to a new financial system, it might take some time before the liquidity gets rolled out. It will happen after a cataclysmic crash where the dollar goes to zero, but that'll be the time, guys. That'll be the flip the switch moment where we see XRP price rise. And to that point, I just wanted to bring you guys this as well from Bubba Cugs. Here's an article from Finance Feeds. Ripple settlement may trigger XRP price to skyrocket. And this is also coming from an FXOpen executive, Natalia Zakharova. This is a leading retail and institutional FX broker, okay? So just to put this into perspective, FXOpen is a retail and institutional Forex broker offering online trading services via MetaTrader 4, MetaTrader 5, and Tick Trader trading platforms. It provides access to the electronic communication network to execute trades in currency pairs, precious metals, CFDs, and cryptocurrency pairs. Founded in 2003, guys, and they have over 500 employees. So a fairly big company that deals in FX trades. And here's what Zakharova says. Finance Feed has spoken to Natalia Zakharova, head of business development at FXOpen, to ascertain her views on the XRP lawsuit and the potential for an upside triggered by settlement. Here's the quote. Whilst it is not yet conclusive, there is definitely a sway of opinion towards the litigation against Ripple to be settled in its favor, and many leading academics from major universities have already publicly stated opinions that the lawsuit is baseless and that Ripple will win either way. So if they go to settle, it will settle in Ripple's favor. That is one possible outcome. And even if they go to trial, they are saying Ripple will essentially win it all in trial. And this is why the SEC, they're going to want to appeal. I talked about this just the other day. They're going to want to appeal, and they've even said, we are going to appeal if the judge does not rule in our favor. So as per the price of XRP, Ms. Zakharova said, there is most definitely a possibility of its value accelerating dramatically as Ripple kept building its scope and network across the globe, thus making XRP at the center of a larger economy. The digital asset not only reduces transaction fees, but is also placed as a default digital settlement currency, which can act as a mediator between all other digital transactions. And so when we do see a scenario like this, if Project Sandman does play out the way they're saying it will, and the economy collapses, well, you've at least had your bets, and I'm not saying put all your eggs in one basket. Obviously, you've already invested in XRP. That is going to be the biggie. There's also something to be said about investing in precious metals, hard assets. Make sure you get away from exposure from the US dollar, because guys, when this moons, this is going to moon hard and change our lives for the better. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.